just said.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Here?
Hauser?
Hauser.
Yes, she texted me
Yeah, she
and
really.
a couple days ago.
It's
Yes.
funny. My mom is a drinker. She's fantastic.
Hold on, I gotta get myself open.
I wish she was the same, but I know she is.
Was that here?
Is the signature?
She's doing.
Got it. Okay. I call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome. Thank you guys for being here today. All right, do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda? Okay. Opportunity for public comment related to agenda items? Okay. All right, we have a retiree recognition that we would like to go ahead and take care of at this time.
So would like to highlight Ann Ellis, who I believe has had 27 years.
Actually 28 with NISAC and then 2 years before that with.
Well, if you don't mind just turning around here, what's your takeaway after all these years?
Have a lot of patience.
I remember you from way back when, and I remember returning to Tri Creek, and it was so nice to see your face.
Oh, thank you.
We want to recognize your employment dedication to us.
Thank you very
And
much.
so if we could give a round of applause.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all your time and commitment with our students.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy your retirement.
Okay, Skillman Construction Update, Mr. Mufcheski, come on up.
Thank you.
You got the hot seat today.
What's that?
You got the hot seat today.
I do. I use this as my cherry. I have a box of goodies. All right, here's some handouts for everybody.
When you said goodies, I'm thinking refreshments.
They're delivering over there for me, Nate. All right. Thanks, everybody, for having me. I want to give a brief update. Number 13 here. Two specific projects. One is the natatorium project that has been going on for several months now, so we are out of the wet season. Temperature, weather's cooperating greatly, so we're making great progress. Added manpower to the site, so it's moving along nicely. Also, I want to get into the details of the high school site lighting and the exterior improvements. First, the natatorium. You see there in the highlighted area that gives you a site map of the areas that we're working in specifically. Right now, obviously, the pool area is just existing gray dirt. We're not going to dig it until we have a roof over our head. That's natural sequence. But for the next few weeks worth of work, continuing CMU masonry, structural steel for the locker rooms, bleacher seating at the walls, at concrete walls, second floor flex core panels. Those are your excuse me. Those are your horizontal panels that are concrete deck, and continuing electrical, mechanical, plumbing undergrounds. That is going to continue for another 3-4 months until we get concrete ready. It's just a massive undertaking of what's underneath the pool, and especially purge tanks and all that area. So that's a quick snapshot in time of what we're going to be doing for the next 4 weeks, next month.
It's surprising to me when I go by there that there's no big hole yet for the
Yeah,
pool. We'd
right.
wait to do that till the very
Right.
last
We-
minute.
We don't want Mother Nature to create the pool for us.
Okay.
So we need concrete walls. So we're going to wait on that
Okay.
until we get the roof on. All right. And again, you know, just to highlight a few areas where structural steel is going to be set and flex core panels getting ready to go another level vertical. Okay. The next project we bid a month and a half ago-ish, and we sent out notice to proceed. Contractors are already progressing with that. Next month worth of work. And this one is, quick timeline, we're gonna hit it very hard over the summer, right? Since we have access to the entire school. Fire alarm, removing ceiling tile, pulling new wire. Some devices, horns and strobes are bad, so we are replacing those. But it is majority just wiring and tying it back into the head end panel. Some exterior work I have highlighted there on the left-hand side of the slide. I just wanted to clarify, at the last board meeting, there were some questions of, hey, where's some panels, where's the brick staining, things of that nature. So we will do a mock-up where we're gonna apply the finished product for the admin to see colors and things of that nature, texture, to say we like it, go, and we can continue. Canopy work there, there's some EFIS, which is an exterior finished product, better known as like stucco, drive-it, many names for it. Nate, you're very familiar with it in the past. Some of it's deteriorating around the entrances, so we're going to remove it, get the columns replaced, put new EFIS back up there. And then back on the inside, we're going to start procuring the boilers, water pumps for the mechanical room, because there is some mechanical in the scope of work. So it's really a mixed bag of outside work, inside mechanical, overhead work, behind the scenes, keep the heart pumping with the fire alarm. And then the main one, LED lighting. We're Skillman, Gibraltar, Millie's, you folks, there's a mix of people. There's a check of what, Dana, $40,000-ish that we achieved for rebates, gave back to the district. So hard work, efforts on everybody that kind of like the tout. Over 1.4 million was just distributed by NIPSCO, Skillman, Gibraltar, throughout all the districts around us. So we consider it a milestone. Goes back to you folks for whatever. So that's just a quick snapshot. There's going to be a lot more, ton more to talk about at the next board update, just because there's going to be so much work over the summer. You know, we're looking at 15 to 20 electricians to start getting fixtures prepped, wiring for fire alarm, things of that nature. So we're really ramping up. I will go into specific questions for the board report, but there's a second part to this board report. I want to tackle some quality control type issues on the football site, softball, and then I want to talk a little bit about site concrete pavement and site asphalt. Okay? And some real good news. Pitchfork Playground will be done, I'm gonna go ahead and say it, August 10th. Okay? We were able to get costs down. Andy, thanks for your efforts. It was, what, a year and a half of negotiations, and I think we wore them out. So, we're in good shape. Okay, with that, again, bear with me, it's two-part here. So here's some quality control photos that I would like to talk about. Would like to go into some detail on the process of how Skillman, along with the owner's approval, Gibraltar's approval, contractor's review, thanks. So let's dig into that thick binder. All right, a lot of information. I'm gonna need at least 2 hours of your time. I'll try to do it an hour 50, hour 45, all joking aside. It's a serious matter to us. I mean, you know, Dr. Anderson brought it to our attention, and we just wanna make sure you folks are comfortable with the install of everything from a blade of grass to strike of concrete, all the way to, you know, columns, structural steel lighting. So there's a lot of information here, but, so let's review how the process pans out, okay? Architect engineer listens to your wants and needs, hires a construction manager, thank you very much. Some details are created for concrete thickness profile, turf thickness profile, things of that nature. We bid off a set of drawings, contractor bids off a set of drawings. During the process, there could be some revisions in which there's approvals by architect, by engineer, by us, and contractor's not willing to do anything foolish to have to redo it again or spend their money. So throughout all these issues, corrections, I want everyone to know that the district is not on the hook for any cost for any repairs that may take place, okay? So specifically at the turf, I have a few highlighted tabs here. So there's a table of contents, and we're just gonna call it, you know, whether it's way to the left in the table of contents, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down to 7. So I'll reference a few. If I say 0, 1, it's this page here, right? Very top, 0, 1. So I'll get into the details of that specific sheet that I want you guys to kind of, okay? So at the turf, there is a detail. If you can go to O2. It's sheet 5 or 6. These are the as-bills. So after the contractor installs what they install, we verify your third-party agency, which is way in the back. I'll get to that later. They also help you make sure the quality is installed per spec and detail, which in this case, it's advanced engineering. So if you go to that detail, it looks something like this. So contractor bid off the drawings for a cross-section such as this. Well, when it was time for field turf to come out and install, and the crux of this conversation is the ponding that you folks have witnessed, okay?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
just to catch everybody up that's watching, there's some things that now that we're living and breathing in our new facility, there's some things that we're noticing, and we want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence to make sure that the product that we received is to the quality that we expect. So that is what is occurring at this time.
Yeah, and again, we've noticed it, we appreciate you folks noticing it. There's nothing wrong with another set of eyes looking at it. So there is science to these turfs, and we understand you folks have never had turf before, it's always been natural grass. So there's a learning curve here, and there's some unknowns that, to all fairness to you folks, you just don't know. So then there is closeout modules and manuals that we'll give you folks at the very end for Jason and his team to properly groom the fields and, you know, how many pellets per square foot to place in and things of that nature. But I do want to get back to this detail. This detail does vary based on what Gibraltar has drawn. And it varies because a lot of contractors, which there are only a handful out there that do great turfs, you really count on one hand. You bring up the detail here with a number 8 clean washed stone, okay? Field Turf, who's a subcontractor to the main contractor, said it's not flat enough. We want the pitch to be flat. So there was a crown in the field. Well, it's not natural grass, it's turf, so you go flatter. In order for the contractor to get the turf flatter for the manufacturer, for the installer, he wanted to provide a CA24, which is fine. It's almost like, we call it kitty litter almost. And that kitty litter, that QA24 is just a 1-inch topping to sit on top of the number 8s for level purposes.
And water goes through that good?
Yes. In some cases, the contractor may have over-compacted it, Kyle. So that's where field turf's gonna come back out and go, all right, we're gonna unhem the turf, we're gonna do a compaction test and a blow count test in this area and retest it, okay? The science behind it. There's a process, it's electrostatic, you guys can look it up, I'm not making any of this up. when the contractor places the sand, rubber pellets, and another third component, and I'm drawing a blank. When his brooming system is brooming the material in the fibers of the grass, it causes electricity, electrostatic. It binds them. So after more playing, after more rain, believe it or not, it's a good thing, it will settle in. Those are all in these reports and warranty for 8 years. We have an 8-year warranty here, contractor does, that we reviewed and find it correct. It's all part of the process. Finally, specifically on the turf, there's an area, west elevation, 30, 40, 50 yard line. Thanks to the team that sent us the photo. Water was really ponding heavy at that location, and that's where we feel maybe it was over compacted. Field turf, look at it. We water tested it ourselves. Just put a hose out there. Should be. Go to the quality control photos, folks. Towards the back. 2, 3, 5 or 6. Looks something like this. So we went ahead and water tested it, and I have 10 more pages of backup, but this is just a quick summary. Let the garden hose run for 2.5 hours. You do see a puddle there.
Was the hose in the middle of the field?
The hose was on the turf, because that's how the hose was on the track, not on the turf.
The
But,
water.
but the coaches are standing in the middle of the field, standing in water.
And those are the areas that we'll look as well. So,
This hose though was just along the track side though, not
Yes.
center of the field.
yes, no,
Okay.
correct, not in the center of the field.
Okay.
But the field does drain into this, the track does drain into this. Within 4 or 5 minutes, it was gone. So there is some level of permeability that you have to allow the field and the track to drain, right? And again, that's in these reports from field turf. So all the documentation's there. I don't wanna bore everybody with the details page by page, but I certainly can. We do have the gradation of the stone in here as well. Take a look at that. The third-party testing company that I mentioned. If you go to number 6. That's the gradation. Number 6, towards the back, there's the gradations for anyone to take a look at it. And then a few more pages after that, you will notice Witzig Engineering testing reports on compaction, on density, proper placement, things of that nature. So, more than welcome to do a deeper dive with whomever, Dr. Anderson, you let me know what other information is required. We feel, as your consultant, the turf was installed properly, the aggregates installed properly.
Why are we having water issues then?
Again, Kyle, it's areas we are gonna test, but it's also, you have to let the granulars fill in a little more. And as a report I'll share with you folks, the electrostatic needs to, quite frankly, go away.
The what?
Electrostatic friction,
How does that go away?
just with time.
Okay,
So
They-
how long
they
does
do-
it take for the water, for us to get water on that to where it's gonna start draining proper?
Well,
Cause it's not.
that's
The
what we
coaches are
need,
standing in water.
that's what we need to define is what's the allowable time, right? Cause water does need to go in the infiltration system, which is a huge herringbone through the whole 100-yard field. It needs to permeate through it. So is it gonna go in there immediately? No one's gonna give you that guarantee. If it stays on there for more than a half an hour, could be an issue.
If we can't play on a field when it's raining out, then that's an issue.
if it's on there for 5 or 10 minutes, I think field turf's gonna say it's allowable.
When is the compact testing, compression testing going to happen?
In 2 weeks.
And that's when they're gonna pull the turf up and check
If they feel it's necessary, yeah. They may do their own water test with heavier volume.
field turf.
Find out if it drains quick enough, they're just gonna say, look, it drained in 4 or 5 minutes.
And let's say that, you know, it comes out where there is improper installation or settling or whatever you wanna call it. What is the remedy for it then?
That we'll need to dig into a little further. I find it highly unlikely that will be the case, Nate, because Field Turf accepted the sub-base product. Okay, it wasn't like the contractor installed the stone and Field Turf knew nothing about it. Field Turf wanted a different stone to, give you an example, I'm exaggerating, to take the crown out of the field. They wanted it flatter. The only way to do it is with that 1-inch compaction lift,
Rolling.
with those
Oh.
QA sevens.
So we used fines that weren't what was supposed to be used, right?
No, the architect and engineer approved them and Field Turf approved them.
Approve the fines.
Yeah, and that's in here also. Yeah, it wasn't like, hey, just go ahead. and do it.
I guess I don't understand, like I'm familiar with fines and I know when you put them down, water doesn't go through them. It washes across the top of it.
Some instances it does, and this is why Field Turf wants to do the compaction test. Yeah. Again, it's a sensitive topic to us. We're not, Kyle, we're not skirting the issue. We're not going anywhere. We're here to remedy it if it does need remedy. Okay, no one on the contractor side of the fence is saying there's an issue.
No one what?
No one on the contractor side of the fence is saying it's an issue. They're saying that it's done properly, so is Field Turf.
Of
Because
course they're saying it's done. They don't wanna have an issue.
Field Turf is separate than, the Field Turf is separate than the contractor that did the stone sub-base.
I know that.
Okay, so Field Turf wouldn't install a product that was not going to drain properly on that turf.
It's not draining properly. And we had this conversation when they did that, when I heard they did that, and you said, no, it'll be fine, it's not gonna have draining issues. But we're having draining issues. So
Again,
obviously I'm kind of pissed off now. We spent a
Again,
lot of
from what-
money, we have 4 football fields. Or not 4 football fields, 4 fields that we paid a lot of money with turf on. And now we have coaches standing out in water that, like, you can't use it. You know, they're standing in water. You know, we have coaches that have been on many fields. And they don't, you know, during downpours. You know, you call Boone Grove, they had a 4-inch rain in 3 hours. And they didn't have standing water in there. We had a 2-inch rain in a 24-hour period. And we have coaches standing in water.
Again, that's why you have us, to help you fight those battles.
Okay.
Had we not been here, it's you folks talking to contractors, right? So we're on
But
the
I
same
feel like right
team.
now, you're saying
No,
there's not
no,
a
no.
problem.
And I'm sorry
That's
if
what I feel like,
No,
that's
no,
what
no,
I'm
no,
getting.
no. I apologize, Kyle, if I'm coming off like that. Just here stating the facts, it's all in paper. And again, as I mentioned 5-10 minutes ago, if we need a deeper dive with other folks in the room, love to do it. With Field Turf, with other contractors, love to do it. We're here, we're an advocate of the district, right? We're here to help.
I think it's important for Field Turf to know that turf field was installed over a year ago, or approximately a year ago. And we've had huge rains. And I know that because we have 2 detention ponds out in front of the high school. And even between February and now, it was always on my radar because we had seeded a new area out there. And I'm like, oh, that seed's gonna wash away. Those detention ponds were overflowing. So
Yeah.
we've had an enormous amount of rain. And so if one of the responses is, well, it just needs more rain to get acclimated, we're a year later now and we've had a lot of rain.
And that's a good point because, help me, to the north is Red Wing Lake. Okay, there is a huge outfall pipe diameter size, 21-24, it escapes my memory, that is collecting all your rainwater underneath your turfs, parking, etc., and heading that way. we're challenging the engineers to make sure their slope and stuff is right and make sure that's not clogged. Because if that is clogged by whatever, it's going to, right? So we're just not fully there yet, but we are fully investigating and taking this to heart. It's not just,
I think another question of curiosity would be, I heard Kyle say that they called another school and they didn't have, are their fines the same as ours? Did they have the same install or different?
same install. We're doing fines right now at Chesterton Soccer. Okay. Chesterton football was, I think, just a replacement, so there was, the existing sub-base there just had to be touched up a little bit. I believe, I need to verify this, but I believe fines were there and they had the same issues. The admin called us to say, hey, we have some ponding along this west elevation, same spot. But that was just a returf, it wasn't all new. So yes, to answer your question, it's common to do 8 at a depth profile. And if the manufacturer that's installing the turf wants a compacted layer for levelness, then that starts a whole nother approval process.
On our other fields, was this additional type of fines used, or was it only used on the football fields?
It was used in soccer, softball, baseball has a different, I hate to use the word because crowning, but it's not like your natural grass crown. But yeah, it is used.
So soccer, we have this on football and soccer.
Mhm.
So the next time it rains heavily with a good solid downpour, we need to go stand out on those 2 fields and make sure
Yeah.
of what's happening.
And our guys are too, because they want to help resolve some of the concrete asphalt stuff that I want to go into real quick.
Yes.
So one other thing too, so it's been noticed that there's weeds growing up on the north end?
North End.
The north end of the football field
Mhm.
in the turf?
Okay? Okay. Let me find out about that, Kyle. I'll get back with Dr. Anderson.
Kyle,
That,
I can interject. The field turf rep was here on Monday and I talked to him about that. He said that is not uncommon
Really?
and you apply a weed killer. That's my only source of information.
and I wanted to
Seems
add,
odd.
it's in here too. It's in here too. I need to get the time frame in my mind right, because it may still be on the contractor to groom as part of maintenance, or it may be your folks in your maintenance to start doing what they need to do.
Do we have the sweeper yet?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Extra pallets, extra sand sweeper, the whole 9 yards.
Another sweeper.
And that, yeah, because it is on a spot that maybe isn't getting a lot of
Yeah.
movement,
Mm.
and so could have.
That's the other, now that you said that, he said it sometimes it happens in the corners of the fields as well where there's not a lot of activity.
Foot action, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Any
Thanks
other-
for your time on the football.
yes,
We're gonna continue to pursue it.
okay.
Okay.
So we'll have a little better idea in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and part of the quality photos that I have here, you could skim through that real quick. You can see the aids, you can see the fabric. I mean, it's done up to par. A few sheets in, you can see the not CAs, the QAs, the fines that are just, like I said, the inch topping. So we just wanted to have all this for your files. Then further in, you can see the turf start to go in, and then you see the turf. So just progressional photos, there's the water testing. Okay, I'm gonna make this real simple for the concrete portion of the board meeting here. I told you I'm gonna go 2 hours, I think I'm gonna take every bit. So on the concrete, you have different situations here. You have some ponding, which tradesmen maybe didn't finish it properly, stepped on a form, caused it to bow. You have some ponding. So at the bottom, I have some action plans, okay, per slide. And within the month's time, we want to make these corrections. And it's going to be a tough battle because you're going to tell a contractor, you did option 1, it didn't work. Now we got to go to option 2, which is remove and replace. Not going to go well, but again, this is why you have this. So water drainage issue there, you can look at that corner of the overhang. It's ponding right there. That one, simple, remove and replace from control joint. The next one over, no good deed goes unpunished, right? Guys show up to work, they pour the concrete, look at the forecast, it decides to rain. Yes, sir, they put visqueen on it. Harder rain than they anticipated. The visqueen swirls went into the concrete, cured and sealed it. Action plan, they're gonna try to power wash it. I have my doubts. Number two, remove and replace. Same thing with this area. I would like to get my eyes, and I'm waiting for my site manager, Mark Ritchie, to come back. I wanna make sure there's no grading issue on this one, and the fact that there's a high point here, and then there's a high point here, and it's not going anywhere. There's another instance by the tennis court that is the same deal. Gonna install a drain, like your basement floor drain, to collect water, go to the nearest main drain. That doesn't work. Remove and replace. Okay,
There was another concrete area, I know that you guys talked about it, but where
Yeah,
there was
there's-
that ledge?
yeah. There's a handful of them in there. They had a swirl, yellow, I didn't include it, but there's more than just what's on this phone, this booklet. Okay.
So we're expecting that that's gonna be looked at within the next month, potentially should be fixed
Will be fixed.
within the next month,
Yeah.
no later than August.
Yes. Tennis court issue, there's a few issues that we noticed that were over and above what some other folks have noticed, so we have them tabled on our end to take care of. The ponding here, apply another coat of topping. Could be a different thicker coat to where you could wedge and level it. Okay, Nate, you familiar with that? If not, we're gonna have the contractor remill the tennis courts and reapply topping. But again, no cost to the district, sorry, Nate.
No, that's all right. There's a trench drain right there. If somehow or other we can get it to that point.
Yeah, correct, no floor drain situation there, obviously. But we're gonna get that heavier top coat to get it to go east.
And do we know when these did not have that top coat on them, were we having the same water ponding issues?
We did,
Oh.
we noticed it, put the contractor on notice. Again, this is why we're battling on your behalf.
So then why do we think that additional top coat's going to fix that if it was already there prior to the top coat coming in?
Because twofold. One, they owe us another top coat, they owe you another top coat per specs. Okay, we feel this one doesn't have 3, right, they're claiming it's 2. And once you put the other top coat, you can get it to flow.
How thick's that top coat?
It's in the mill range, I go by fractions, right, 1/8 inch quarter.
To what?
1/8 inch quarter,
Oh,
they go 6 or 8 mil, I forget what they go by, I go by
that eighth or quarter's gonna move it?
level it out. At least level it out, fill it in and level it. Again, I'm not sold by it, it may be a remill and replace. No cost,
I think so.
Okay.
just have to put the options out there, right? This is softball, the last slide here, folks, is the artificial turf seams. So,
You can't see it in these pictures, but
It
it's
is
where
tough.
every seam.
Yeah.
I mean, you can almost see it here, like you can kind of see that.
Mm-hmm.
Every seam, it looks like, you know, when your carpet gets vacuumed and you can kind of see, it
It
looks like that.
expands and buckles.
the sew pattern's not the best here, so, you'll notice that there's no action plan here. We haven't heard back from Field Turf yet, so it's still in our.
Okay.
I'll have something at the next meeting.
The other fields didn't seem to have that same
No,
problem.
right.
Maybe they had a different sewing person on duty that day.
Or the factory was running stupid busy and things happened there. You know, changing the blades out X amount of hours, things of that nature that they didn't do, and guy or gal came back from break, you know, stuff like that you hear.
Okay.
Let us do our due diligence.
Did we look at the, like going into second base, going into third base, where it appeared like it was like scratched? Did they look at that when you were out there?
Didn't speak specifically to the scratching.
Okay,
They spoke more so with, we needed a metal rake instead of a plastic rake, and we needed sand that would create the fluff on that and maintain that better.
Okay.
But while Chris is here, so if you think it's plastic, right? And
Yes,
have you ever seen like a scratch in a smooth run of plastic and it turns a little bit white and discolors? There was a little bit of that around the bases, specifically second base.
And there was on third too, when you catch it. It almost looked like you had muddy shoes and it was like mud, but then once you get closer, some of them, you wipe them and those, it's like frayed.
it's more than a scuff.
It's like a frayed plastic look.
It's
Have you
improved.
seen it out there, Patty?
We
We were
just think
told
it,
initially by Field Turf that the plastic was the only thing to be used on those fields.
Oh, that's interesting, because the field turf guy said he used metal.
We went the whole season. That's what we were told, plastic rakes.
well, I have it now. I have it on the list. There's some asphalt,
Yeah.
some asphalt items as well. Contractor's coming back out on Monday, when our mark's back, and, we'll get those repairs going. And, some arrows, some paintings by the admin, things of that nature we need to correct. Contractor needs to correct, so, yeah, definitely a full list of things we need to do.
Something that you definitely hadn't been prepped for that just came to my mind. With the construction of the natatorium, one of the conversations a while back that Nate had brought up was making sure that the construction vehicles and delivery vehicles were using that back route that we haven't repaved yet.
Right?
Are we making sure that they're using that back route? Because there seems to be a lot of wear along the south end of the football field.
Okay.
So if we can just readdress and make sure that
I will.
we're not running things up and down that nice new pavement.
We discussed that really at foreman meetings. At progress meetings, you kind of don't hear the nitty gritty, where it gets pretty bloody at the foreman meetings. But I will reiterate that. As much as we try to police everything, sometimes someone skirts and does whatever, but
Yeah.
no taking.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other questions from the board? Concerns? Chris? Thank you for all this
Thanks
documentation,
so much for your time, guys. Yeah.
and we'll talk soon.
Yes, thank you. We're here to continue to work for you folks.
Thank you.
You do a good job. Appreciate that, Nate. Thank you.
Thanks.
I will leave with my box now.
All right, thank you all for your patience. Okay, administrative reports.
Yeah, I'd like to defer to Dana. She's got a little bit of good news.
So we had our first week of meal service out at the middle school for our summer feeding program. And we served on 2 days, Tuesday on the 10th and today on the 12th. In speaking with our school nutrition rep and planning for this school meal distribution, we are one of the only school districts in Lake County to qualify for this program, which is a non-communal program, meaning they can drive through, grab a bag of food, and go on and go home. They don't have to sit and eat in a communal status. So we pass out meals on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesday, they get 3 breakfasts and 3 lunches, and then they come back on Thursday. It's a requirement that you split it over 2 days. On Thursday, they get 4 and 4 breakfasts and lunches. So 7 lunches and breakfasts throughout the whole distribution. So when we worked with our School Nutrition Association rep out here, he said, it's gonna be a good draw. You're probably gonna serve around 500 meals. So when we worked on the budget, we built it, I always go conservative, and I said, let's go 300. Let's build the budget on 300, see if it's worth our time, our effort, and how much staffing we need and how much food and all that. So we did build the budget on 300, and we saw it to be a good thing for our community, and it wouldn't be a draw on our food service account. It would actually be profitable, or at least maintain its, pay for itself, let's say. Well, for Tuesday on the 10th, we actually had pre-registered quite a few. I think people pushed the button multiple times, or the people were very excited about picking up and maybe didn't show. But we had 1,175 reservations for meals. We prepped for 1,300. And I will tell you, it was a soft but smooth 623 picked up. So that's kind of like womp womp, right? You know, we didn't get it all, but food did not go to waste. These are meals that can be frozen. A lot of it is frozen because it's take home with instructions to cook at home and everything like that. So we were able to hang on to some of that. There are some fresh fruit components that we were a little worried, like, oh my gosh, we've got so much here. So we did a little more push on the notification on Wednesday and this morning to remind people to come pick up. And we had 725 pre-register. We prepped for 800, and we had 752 show up. So that's great that we saw an increase. So rather than the 500 that he recommended, the 300 that we planned for, we had some really solid first weeks of service. So that turns out to be 9,754 meals that our food service staff packed, because you got to think about what goes into this to actually pull this off and where we store this. One thing we learned in this factor, we don't have enough freezer space for all of this at the middle school. So we are like storing this stuff down in Oak Hill and packing some there and then doing this whole production of moving. So we're kind of fortunate that we didn't have the first, the 1,300 show up, but we're ready for it to grow because now we've been able to learn from that. Again, our SNA field rep said about 7,000 meals, and we had 9,000, almost 10,000 meals picked up. That equates to, and I've got some stats here which just blow my mind, 3 pallets of apples, or 14,904 apples that our food service staff, actually packed in bags, 2,120 pounds of oranges. You could just imagine what pallets of apples look like in the dish room. I never thought I would see these mounds of boxes. 1,000 pounds of chicken tenders that were distributed, 162 crates of milk, which equates to 11,000 cups of milk that went out the door in half gallons. So it was a really, I was there for the first opening service. We had them staged. Traffic went well. Thank you, Officer Corning, for helping us out with that. We staged them all the way back through our transportation center, back by the buses, so they got a nice tour of our transportation center back there. And they had 2 tables set up, check-in process. Once we got our rhythm, it was really running well. I want to bottle the energy of our food service staff. I can't say enough about the staff there. By the 3rd car going through, this is 3rd car of, 400 cars that probably went through there. 3rd car, they were like saying, oh my gosh, we got to move a table over here. We got to do this. You go over here. You go 5 steps up here. They were problem solving. Something that I didn't even know was really a problem because it was just getting our rhythm, but they were so excited about it. Today they had a beach theme, so they're gonna have different themes. They've got music going to greet the kids that are there. They've got dog cookies for the dogs that might be in the cars, things like that. So they're really embracing this. And, they could have a summer off and relax, but they're packing meals and serving. So this is a great success for the first week. We're very happy about it. It's going to help sustain our food service program, hopefully fend off a price increase that we might want to take on, that we were considering. But this might provide some further income because it's all reimbursable through the federal program that we have for school nutrition. So very positive week on that.
So no local dollars
Correct.
are going into this?
Correct. It's a federal program that's fully funded, and we claim every single one of them. It serves kids K through 18, and it could be from any community that can pre-register for this and come through and pick up meals. It does not have to be a Lowell resident, does not have to be a Tri-Creek enrollment or any of that. So we're serving communities outside of here that are in need as well.
I'll give Dana kudos because I would always pass her office and see food service in there quite a bit this spring, and so a lot of planning and preparation paid off. Anytime you're talking 600 and 700 meal pickups, that's traffic, it's coordinating, it's pre-planning and thinking through that, so kudos to you.
Huge team involved. I mean, a lot of details that I don't have big brains like that. I got a lot of great people. Huge team.
I'd like to also recognize Principal, soon-to-be Curriculum Director, already working Curriculum Director, on her first graduation ceremony. And as we always do, plan, do, study, act, and the board took a more active role this year. And while it's still fresh in our minds, we just wanted some feedback. Did you enjoy being a part of the diploma handing out? Is that something you'd recommend in the future?
I truly enjoyed it. It was enlightening to see the expressions, the excitement on everybody's face. They looked you in the eye, the firm handshake, and they were very appreciative of the moment.
Yeah, it did give a new energy to it. Instead of just sitting there and observing, it was nice to interact a little bit.
No, I definitely liked it. I know before, when I first got on the board, we would shake everybody's hand, but I actually liked the handing it out. That was nice. Yeah.
And I love the personal aspect of the parents that were able to
Oh, yeah.
give their graduates their diplomas. That was really great, really special.
Put me back in the superintendent role there, just flashback.
You know, and I think it went off well inside again. It's got that good energy, and it looked like there was plenty of room. I didn't see people squeezed in. I saw kids were able to stretch out that were getting bored and tired and waiting for their brother or sister to graduate, so I thought it was fantastic. Well
Parking
done.
ran really well, I'd have to say.
Yes, it did.
It did.
I kept peeking out there on Route 2 to see if there was a long backup, and it didn't appear to be.
Custodial staff, maintenance staff, they did a great job pulling that together.
Yeah, the
Yes.
buildings and grounds looked beautiful. I know there was a lot of attention and detail put into that, so
Yeah,
all team effort.
they were.
I was also impressed with one student in the front who assisted a young lady who was having a difficult time. And that really made me feel good that that student was there and went above and beyond.
We got good kids. Yeah. I also loved the guitar national anthem. I want to go out to football games like that, or it's really cool. I hope we have somebody else following his footsteps.
I was waiting for the Jets to fly over.
That's all we have for the administration report.
Okay, thank you for all of that. Staff recognition.
Yeah, we had a parent who wanted to recognize Lindsay Doolin, who's a science teacher at Lowell Middle School. The parent wrote, "Mrs. Doolin has a remarkable ability to connect with her students and build meaningful, positive relationships, something truly worthy of recognition. Middle school can be a challenging time for many, and my child often struggled to find enjoyment in those years, even trying to avoid school altogether. However, Mrs. Doolin was one of the bright spots in her day, the person who made a difference. Mrs. Doolin found ways to connect with my daughter, motivating her, challenging her, and helping her grow. Learning simply cannot happen unless students feel safe, supported, and genuinely cared for. Sadly, not every teacher is able to create that kind of environment. As my children grow older, I've come to realize just how rare and special those truly impactful teachers are. Mrs. Doolin will always be someone my daughter deeply admires and appreciates. Please join me in celebrating Mrs. Doolin for the unwavering dedication she brings to her Lowell Middle School students and the profound impact she's had on those, like my daughter, who needed a steady, caring presence during the often difficult middle school years."
That's very special.
Awesome.
Well done, Mrs. Doolin, and thank you to the parents that take the time to acknowledge the excellent teachers that we have. All right, moving on. We have regular business consent items. We will move to approve them all at one. Meeting minutes from Thursday, May 8th. Meeting minutes from Tuesday, May 20th. Meeting minutes from Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. And payroll and claims. Can I have a motion to approve the four?
I'll make a motion to approve the 4.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, personnel report. Can I have a motion to approve the personnel report dated Thursday, June 12th, 2025?
I'll make a motion.
I'll
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I would like to present to the board a short presentation. We've had a lot of moving pieces and parts, and I thought it might be a good time to try to take inventory on what's happening.
Oh, shoot. We'll go back to it.
So some of the staff restructuring that has taken place, anytime you restructure, always remind yourself of why are we doing this? What's the reason for a change? And as many people know, we are entering an even newer season of financial challenges. The most recent are the top two bullets. There is a NIPSCO rate hike that will impact our school district in the coming year by approximately $250,000. And for a district our size, that is significant. Second item, the Indiana General Assembly in their 2025 legislation resulted in estimated decrease of $3.1 million in property tax for Tri Creek schools over the next 3 years. And so having come off the past 2 years of budget reduction, we're now starting to enter that stage that I call a little bit ugly. And it's important for our community and people to know we can only play the deck of cards that we're dealt. And so those items, and as everybody knows, increase costs with inflation. We lean on our guiding principles to lead us through these moments. Focus on solutions and continuous improvement. Sometimes out of bad situations, good things can occur. And I think what we're finding is as we're being forced to restructure, there are really some positive elements that are coming out of this. And so as we navigate through these waters, keeping students at the center. We want to make sure that we address safety, academics, athletics, and extracurriculars. They're all important. So how do we enact non-negotiable reductions, right? That's the deck of cards we've been dealt. We have no choice but to figure it out without compromising student programs and services. So the first area that we're taking a look at is the Tri Creek School Safety Program. And a quick inventory, we employ one full-time safety coordinator, one full-time school resource officer, 15 part-time school resource officers. We are part of the Sandy Hook Promise anonymous reporting system. We've implemented threat assessment protocols throughout the district. We have trained and implemented the 3 outs active intruder protocols. Our facilities are equipped with the night lock devices. We do tabletop safety exercises, running scenarios. I think we've become well-oiled on our public communications. Anytime there's a concern, we push messages out to the entire school community. We have developed collaborative relationships with all of our first responders, not only with Lowell, but with the county. We have implemented our lockdown preparedness buckets that are in the classrooms. We've implemented the Crisis Go alert system. We have an extensive radio and video communication system throughout the district. We are recipient of the Safe School, Secure Schools grant annually that we apply for. We have a representative on the Lake County Safe Schools Commission. We run our regular safety drills. We have staff trainings, and we update our signage accordingly. As we review all of our programs, we know that there have been budget reductions in just about every sector of Tri Creek schools. And when it came to safety, is what are we doing that could we become more efficient? What are other schools doing? So at the top you see 9 out of 23 regional schools that we inquired with, 39% of them employ a full-time safety director or coordinator. And you see the 9 schools listed there. 10 out of the 23, or 43%, They don't have a safety director or coordinator, but safety is overseen and coordinated by administrators, whether that be district office or building level administrators. And you can see the schools that are listed there. And out of the remaining 4 out of the 23 or 17%, safety is overseen and coordinated by the school resource officers. And the state of Indiana has a program, you can become a certified school safety specialist, and anybody can go to that. It's like a 2-day training, and so they're not necessarily law enforcement, it's a certificate that you went through the 2 or 3 day training. And you see the schools listed there that fall into that category. So back to the question, how do we enact non-negotiable reductions without compromising student programs and services? We can keep all of those bullets, but impact the top left and restructure and redistribute. And as other schools have proven the concept, Corporal Burkus from the Lowell Police Department, he's also our Tri-Creek School Resource Officer, and Dan Govert, Lowell High School, soon-to-be assistant principal, are excited and willing to take on this role. And again, going back to the previous slide, none of these services go away. None of the programs go away, but it is a necessary thing that we need to do in shifting that leadership over to these 2 individuals. We did also reach out to the Lowell Police Department. They are sending some additional officers this summer to be school resource officer trained, so we'll have even more. That'll take us up to 17 plus school resource officers at our disposal through the district. And so that's the part pertaining to safety. We've had some structuring in leadership. So this leadership restructuring has resulted in several thousands of dollars of savings to our district. We've renegotiated contracts and the number of days worked. We've replaced experienced with lesser experience, and that is a cost savings. And so if we start at the top, Shannon Mazurik has been named the principal of both the Lowell Intermediate and Lowell Middle School. And there'll be an associate principal of the intermediate and an associate principal at the middle. That provided an opportunity to take the dean of students that was there and bring over to the high school. We've got Dan Govert that we would put into Shannon Mazurik's place, who came from the high school. And so Lowell High School would have principal, 2 assistant principals, like we currently do. One of those roles is taking on a lot of safety. Yes, our enrollment is not decreasing at the high school, but again, this is it's the deck of cards we've been dealt. How do we maintain programming without impacting the student program? This is how that's framing out. The high school will maintain its dean of students, and also by this configuration, the intermediate and the middle school used to have the dean from Three Creeks and the dean from Oak Hill that would float in and out between the elementary schools and the intermediate and middle school, going back and forth. This model puts a full-time dean in Oak Hill, a full-time dean in Three Creeks, because another budget reduction was the behavior specialist of Indiana had to pull out of their service to our schools. And so again, we're trying to maintain programming, save money, and try to turn a negative into a positive. Academics. So for the middle school, going from a single period of English language arts and math to a double period for all students, we have a need in that. Currently, we have some concerns with our student performance data. We believe kids need more time. And so this will accomplish that. In order to do that, that requires restructuring. So we're shifting a Lowell High School math teacher over to the Lowell Middle School. We've converted a social studies teacher who's also licensed as an English teacher to accomplish that. We have taken another teacher who's gonna be teaching, currently teaching one area, shifting to another content area, other teachers who are only teaching one grade level to now teaching. So you can see, restructuring is happening, but it's for a good cause and good things are happening. Also by the restructure, we've been able to expand our Career Tech Ed computer course that will result in an additional Career and Tech Ed reimbursement funding for our district that will generate revenue. We are not replacing a retirement by scheduling and doing a schedule overhaul that will use existing staff to improve our programming. And by tweaking the student dismissal time from 3:15 to 3:27 also helps to afford that additional academic instructional time, but it also cleans up a systems issue with our bus service where the students were being dismissed at school at 3:15, but the majority of our bus fleet was not arriving until 3:25, 3:30. So we're accomplishing checking the boxes on that. And the change in the master schedule adds intervention for students without adding additional staff, and they're taking place by certified teachers. So this personnel report last month and this month, it's got some out-of-the-box thinking, and that then takes us to athletics in our agenda. So currently, the high school athletic department, there are 5 employees. You've got the athletic director, the athletic secretary, and athletic secretary aide. And then we float 2 teachers who have random periods available in their teaching schedule to float in and out. That's been a practice for the past 30 years. And so in order to stay focused with that, in order for us to elevate and get to consistency, adding, when you had the math teacher that shifted over, it then put a constraint on the teachers available for this, and it was becoming really wonky. We had a resignation with the athletic aide secretary. Don't fill that position. Take the teachers that we already have available. We have internal candidates that could fill this role. Establish an assistant athletic director position, not only at not an additional cost to the district, but we actually save money, nearly $19,000 by not replacing the athletic secretary aide. What do we get? We get a full-time athletic director, we get a full-time assistant athletic director. You have consistency within the department. We have growing programs. Our conference just added girls wrestling. Boys volleyball is coming to the scene. We're starting to get a lot of open enrollment kids that are coming to our successful program. So we have a growing program. It just makes sense. And again, it's an opportunity in all this restructuring to make things right. And there's an impression of, well, you're recommending adding an assistant athletic director for something, a position we haven't had for 30 years. Well, we kind of had, it just wasn't established. So we're just making it clean, making it right, and it's no additional cost, and in fact, it's that $19,000 in savings. The last one up here is athletic training. Franciscan, who was the hospital that provided 2 of our athletic trainers, they dissolved their program, not only for Tri-Creek schools, but for all schools. So how do we run our athletic program with no trainers? We're in the middle of budget reductions. So we've taken one of our trainers, we've tried to think outside the box. Hey, we've got Career Tech Ed pathway. Kids could do the exercise science pathway, get their PE, and get reimbursement from the state to now fund that new position. So we've been able to structure this to take one of our athletic trainers, put them in the classroom, that's the bread and butter of their livelihood, and then we still maintain their services for an additional stipend, significantly reduced than what would ever cost us out of pocket, and we maintain that student program. I apologize for being long-winded, but there's been a lot of work and thought that has been taking place for the past 5 months to get us to this point. We have vetted every angle, every dollar, every scenario, always keeping students at the center of, we don't want to reduce our programs. And I think as a result of this, we've actually got better product for Tri Creek schools.
That was excellent, that's some good information.
I've had some conversation with Mr. Gover and Corporal Burkus this morning. Do you have anything to say?
On behalf of Corporal Burkus and myself, we're excited to be taking this on, that, you know, we can do this together. We've worked together over the last year really well. We're looking forward to, you know, serving the safety needs of our community. And we're dedicated to making sure that none of those programs that we already have will be affected in any way. And we're excited to get started.
So, I also see in the audience tonight a couple of faces, I think, that are on our personnel report. Principal Doherty, would you mind introducing?
Yes, so we have 2 new school counselors that are going to be joining our staff at Lowell High School, Jessica Schultz and Alexis Fitzsimmons. So welcome, we are so excited. They both come with experience and varied experiences all the way from the college and career tracking, but also the aspect of behavioral supports. So we have an excellent team of school counselors waiting for our kids next year as they walk in our doors.
Before we move to approve, is there any other questions or comments regarding the personnel report? Okay, all right, so we already have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the personnel report dated Thursday, June 12th, 2025? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on, Lowell High School Assistant Principal Contract. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion and a second. We just heard about that. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Welcome.
It's official.
It's official, yep, moving up. Number 3, Lowell High School Assistant Athletic Director role. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Before we move on to the administrative handbook, I skipped a part in reports for board member reports. I apologize, so I'm gonna go ahead and head back to that for a real quick second. Nate, go.
I do have one as a member of the NISEC, which is the Northwest Indiana Special Education Cooperative Board of Managers. We had our meeting last night. We had the traditional board member agenda. There were several resolutions approved. The biggest and most painful was the Neola policy approval, which is lengthy to read all that stuff. Just like all the other schools in our state, personnel was a big issue. There were some reassignments, resignations, and reductions in force as a result of the financial dilemma we're all facing. In addition to that, the State Board of Accounts did our audit. It was not done for a while. It was a 4-year audit. And they did cite for one issue, and that's where the service center, or the educational service center, was actually adding grants, looking for credit on grants that the schools were actually authorized to apply for. And so it was an oversight on their behalf. They made the corrections and it won't happen again. And that's about it.
Thank you. Any other board member reports? Sorry for that, Nate.
That's all right.
Okay, heading back to personnel, approve the administrative handbook for the 2025-26 school year. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. All right, business operations. Number 1, resolution number 2025-06 concerning alternative service agreements with the Indiana Department of Education and private education agencies. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion, opposed? Motion passes. Number 2, School Resource Officer Memorandum of Understanding. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
It was a rather lengthy document.
We had revised this document last year. It worked out well. It, again, was another cost savings to the district, and we're proud to partner with the town. And the part of the changes this year really were just around the SRO officer taking a more active role in the presentation that I just presented to you.
It overlapped the security that we have a need for.
All right. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Number 3, approve football summer camp at Manchester College. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion. I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Number 4, construction trades agreement between Brooker Contracting LLC and Tri-Creek School Corporation. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
If I can add, there's one change from what was in your packet there, a minor change after discussion with our partner here, Brooker Contracting. He requested that on page 2, under letter E, that we change one word in the last highlighted sentence, priming the drywall and painting the ceilings, strike the word may, put the word will in there,
Okay.
be done by the students, which is what happens.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. And very appreciative to Brooker Contracting for their partnership with this program. It's been very great program for our kids. All right, curriculum instruction, online school. We're gonna go ahead and do a motion in a second on this one, after, and we'll discuss after that. Can I have a motion to?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to consider approval of online school.
Thank you. Thanks for having us this evening. We're here to provide some information and answer any questions that you have. We are taking a look at some options for our students to provide flexible opportunities for them for alternative means of meeting their coursework and their needs. So we're looking at something we're just kind of calling our Pride Academy, and we call that after Program of Rigorous and Innovative Digital Education. So what is the Pride Academy? It is a tuition-free asynchronous coursework from Edmentum that students take courses through Edmentum. It's a curriculum that's based on Indiana academic standards. They are flexible, they are rigorous, they mirror the general education curriculum that we offer at 3 buildings. We're going to start out 5 to 12, so intermediate, middle, and high schools. Students who partake in this will become full Tri-Creek students. They'll have that status and be eligible for extracurricular activities. Currently, right now, we have students, we don't offer, if we have students who have to leave us or decide that they don't want to stay with us and they want to do online programming full-time, they leave us and then they go to, for example, like Indiana, I think K-12 or Online Academy, and those schools then in Indiana, tuition follows the student. So for every one of those students that leaves us, that's about $8,000. So we're looking to bring back some of our students and to also provide services for students who sometimes for them, the online version may be what's appropriate for them in that moment in time. So we also took a look then and we talked with, I think Patty's back there, we worked with IHSAA to talk about, can our students participate in sports? Right now, IHSAA requires that students who are 30% more are online, then they have to at least be in class, boots on ground 1 class period. However, you can then reach out to the commissioner of IHSAA and then ask for dispensation from that. So we also would like our students here to have access to on-campus programs and events, like they can come to our dances, they can come to our activities. We want to, of course, open this up to Tri-Creek residents, but also students who want to enroll in Tri-Creek, but who may be outside of our residence. And we also want to note at this time, we are going to cap this at 99. And if you look at Indiana Code 2019-94, once you hit 100 or more, you actually have to create a separate school with a separate ID, tax code, et cetera. So right now, we're looking at that this is just going to be an extension of Lowell Intermediate, Lowell Middle, and Lowell High Schools. And this is our way then of offering courses to our students. It's not separate. These are accredited because we are accredited. So these courses then meet the state's requirements for accredited courses. So again, I said open to grades 5-12 in the 25-26 school year. Because space will be limited, we are going to require an application process. Priority enrollment will be for meeting students who have health or physical health needs. Also faith-based needs of students and their families. For example, families who are homeschooling who may wish to join us, and then if they want their students to participate in sports or activities. We had our new principal of the middle school and intermediate school, but Shannon Mazurek had called several of our families whose students do not attend our school right now and asked if they would be interested in this. And she said, we had several who were, nearly 24, and of those, they said the one thing that they liked the most was the idea of being able to walk with their cohort at graduation. That was something that was very important to them. And that's also something that a lot of our neighboring school districts are not offering. They're offering a separate school experience with a different school. They will not have the diploma of that high school. Our students will have a full transcript from Lowell High School. They'll be Lowell High School students, and they will have a Lowell High School diploma. Students, we do want to keep them in there for a full semester if they enroll in there, but at any time they can come back at the start of the next semester if they wish to go face-to-face. Philosophically, we believe that students, the masses, do better with face-to-face, and we are certainly not looking to replacing face-to-face instruction. We believe that social interaction with teachers and with their peers are very important. But we know for some students and some families, at this time, that may not be what their students need. So we believe that we're offering them some more flexible options. We will also monitor progress and attendance. Mr. Govert here, who's taken on assistant principal role, he's going to be overseeing this as an administrator, and we will have staff members also who will be overseeing how children are progressing and also making sure that they are keeping up, and that's part of their attendance that we have to track also with the state of Indiana. Students and families, we ask that they have quality Wi-Fi and internet, but we can also make available for them devices just as we would with any other Tri-Creek student. And seniors who graduate, like I said, will get a Lowell High School diploma and graduate with the peers at the graduation ceremony, which you just saw in the families, they really. Families and students, we ask that they adhere to the rules provided in the Academy Handbook, and that's forthcoming. That's something we're going to work on. And I do want to really stress, too, that we are working as a team, the administrative team, so we're working with the intermediate and middle school administration. We're working with the high school administration. Mr. Geringer has also been a part of this process behind the scenes. He wanted to be here tonight, but he couldn't make it in tonight. Enrolled students and their parents or guardians, we'll have an orientation prior to the start of school. That's also to make sure that we follow Indiana code. Pride students will have access to school counseling services, so counselors, we've been working with this as Dr. Anderson has stated. These things don't just happen suddenly. We've been talking about this since January, and we've been working on this behind the scenes and talking about what does that look like? How do we assign students? What kind of services do we provide? So those are things that we're still talking about, but we want our students to have the full experience and support. All enrolled students are required to attend in-person state mandated assessments. If they are part of us, then they have to follow the law like all other students. And that's the case with our alt students right now, and any of our students who are in the alt X experience, they also have to come on campus, so that doesn't change. And also, I do think it's important to note that students who need special education services, they will be assigned a teacher of record, and that we will make sure that we meet beforehand with a case conference. We want to make sure this is a good service for them, but we also want to make sure that we're meeting their needs and their accommodations so that this will be fully compliant with IDEA law. So our timeline, our proposed timeline is summer of 2025. Program development, we're still ironing everything out, getting a handbook ready. July, we're gonna open up those applications. And then August 1st, that's when we're gonna start notifying parents. And we're going to keep it, some of you have kids who've been applying to colleges already, open enrollment, so that rolling admissions, throughout the year. So as students, it doesn't always close unless we're at cap. And we always leave a little buffer of spaces for emergencies because, sometimes families have emergencies and kids may have to go online. Students may transfer in and out of Pride Academy in the first 2 weeks. And that's what we've seen kind of in a lot of the other schools that are offering the online courses, so that if it's not for them, then they can come back in face-to-face. And 2 weeks is usually about enough time that they can catch up if they've missed something at the beginning of the semester. And that's it. That's where we are right now, so.
Does the online coursework, does it align to what's going on in the classroom? So if at the end of one semester, they want to go in the classroom, they're right on schedule?
So those classes that are offered by Edmentum are taught by Edmentum teachers, which are licensed from the state of Indiana. And so they may not be fully aligned as in like they've done this activity or read this book, but they do follow the state of Indiana standards.
Okay.
But at any time, we have students that also may switch at semester different teachers. So we believe that they are fully, because they're aligned with the standards, that they would be able to come in at the next semester and not really miss a beat. In fact, what we found, I think, is that some of them have been ahead of some of the kids when they come in. They've taken it first semester.
And we know there's a ceiling of 99. Is there a low limit that says it's not worth getting into?
No,
So
that
if
would
there's
be,
2 kids or 10 kids, it's still, we're gonna go with it.
sure. So right now, we haven't talked about if there's a minimum. Really, for us, expense-wise, we already have staff members in place. We are not hiring anybody. We're not adding additional staff. So we have quite a bit of interest already, and we have people that have reached out to us. They like the idea of being Lowell students. They like the idea of the asynchronous learning. A lot of the schools around us are doing synchronous learning, which is the virtual, but at a certain time, certain day, just like scheduled classes. Ours is going to offer more flexible options, so that students, if they have to do whatever they need to do during the day, then they work, for example, or whatever it is that they need to do, then they can work on this in the evening or night. We're just watching that they progress. So that's something that we think we're going to, I think it's possible we could be at capacity within a year or two.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
Are they who's this open to geographically? Anybody in the state?
It's open to anybody in the state who wants to open enroll with us, just as we would have an open enrollment now within Tri-Creek schools.
Is there more of a priority? Is that taken into consideration the school on who you select?
So I think our first priorities are to, if we think about it, every student that leaves our borders that live within us, we lose that $8,000. That's one of our first priorities, is to get some of our students back that we've lost. I think that number, it was like 240 students that we've lost, right, that live within our borders, but they go elsewhere. So I'm not saying we'll get that full recap or brought back in, but if we can get a portion of that back, that can be significant at $8,000 each.
I would just be
Andy, there's a process too for open enrollment that'll still have to take place, and that is superintendent approved. And so even for this online virtual program, they still have to open enroll with
Correct.
the district and have superintendent approval. And then there's the application process for the virtual program.
Yeah, I just kind of see this being really successful and people wanting to get in, only having 99 spots, and then
If we go over,
how you prioritize those people with health or mental health issues in our community
over, say, someone in Indianapolis with the same issue.
Sure. I think that what we'll see, part of it is we'll see how it goes. We saw that Chesterton, they opened up theirs, and then they had more than 99 students who were interested, so they created a separate entity. They're at 167, I believe was the last count that I had heard. So they didn't necessarily have 1,000 kids coming in. I think that there are quite a few schools that are opening up online versions as well. So I think we'll be at capacity within a couple of years. I don't know that we'll have hundreds and hundreds, but it's possible. KV is opening one, I believe Griffith is, Highland, is going to open.
And what you might find is the market becomes saturated
Correct.
and you might have an influx, but then it might come down as more and more schools do this because it's a financial,
Well, we're gonna have the best program though. so-
of course we will.
Absolutely, we are.
We wanna prioritize
Exactly.
Lowell
And lastly, like,
residents.
do you foresee students that are already, that would normally stay in the classroom physically leaving then to go to this?
So,
Because it's an option to still be a Lowell student.
so part of our application process is that we'll talk about with every single student application if that person is appropriate for the online schooling. If it's just because they don't want to go to school, then that's not appropriate placement for them. So that's why we put priorities on students. A lot of times it's students who have some mental health issues or that might have physical health issues. They need a semester away from the physical day-to-day. We've had some students too, like, we have student parents who want to homeschool their kids because they don't want to have them in the traditional brick and mortar. We believe that we can be appealing to them as well because they can still keep all the benefits of the home environment that they would like, but then also the benefits of being a Lowell Red Devil.
Within the handbook for this, I'm assuming there'll be maybe an outline of how priority is given and how students are chosen. So when it comes time for us to approve that handbook, we'll have a little bit more understanding of that. Right now, we're looking at approving the development of the program.
Correct. Even if we're not at 99%, if we don't feel that a student that's an appropriate placement for them, then that we wouldn't want to put them in there. We want students to be successful. We want them from grades 5 to 12 as we're transitioning from elementary to secondary role and then high school to post-secondary role. We want to make sure that they have what they need to be able to be successful at that next level. And so if a student is applying they think it's going to be easier, and by the way, I think the online is not easier. A lot of kids have to be able to be independent. We'll talk about that in the handbook too.
Time management.
Time management is huge, absolutely. So it's a one-on-one conversation. We'll be working with the school counseling team as well with that.
I think it's an excellent way to meet the needs of some of our students and families with where they are in life. And we all know life can be very up and down at time to time. And so this gives that opportunity to have that door open to either option. I'm sure, Bryn, you've had a lot of kids that have needed something like this.
And I think especially if sometimes things happen for, a semester where it could be beneficial too, and the goal is to ultimately come back for after that, but for a period of time, a student might not be able to come to school for a while, something happens. Am I allowed to ask a quick question? The 99 students, is that for district or is that each level, like intermediate, middle, high school?
My understanding is it's district.
Okay.
Because Chesterton, once they said 99 was because we've been working with them, they've been very generous with helping us and understanding this process. And they said, because theirs is a K-12, they said once you hit 100, you
Okay.
have to.
So it
apply
doesn't
for the
matter
separate
if it's building level, it's just 99 no matter, okay, I wasn't sure.
That's my understanding.
Good question. Thank you.
You have to do a whole different school.
Correct, 100%. And KV went that route. I think a lot of us received those postcards in the mail from Kankakee Valley for Valley Online. They decided to create a completely separate school. So those kids won't get a diploma from Kankakee Valley High School. They'll have one from Valley Online. Our kids will be Red Devils and they'll receive a Lowell High School diploma.
Any other questions, comments?
If you go over 100, you can do ECAs either. Once you become a separate school, then you can't be involved in, that's a tipping point. I think that's one of the things we found out.
All right. So, thank you very much. All in favor of approving the creation of the online school? Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right, consent items. We have a whole bunch of donations. So, moving to approve donation of miscellaneous classroom supplies for Lake Prairie Elementary School from Mr. and Mrs. Daniel Grzinski of Lowell, Indiana. $1,000 donation from John Kluver to update and clean the memorial at Oak Hill Elementary School. $7,518.75 donation from the Lowell Athletic Booster Club to fund 2 Lowell Athletic Booster Club athletic scholarships and senior night awards. $1,700 donation from various donors to help the Lowell High School football RDP alumni ECA for the golf outing sponsorship. $4,780 donation from various donors to help fund the Lowell High School football RDP alumni ECA for golf outing sponsorship. $2,919.72 donation from PepsiCo to help fund Lowell High School athletics Pepsi extracurricular account for athletic expenses. $84.96 donation from American Online Giving Foundation to help fund student activities at Oak Hill Elementary School. $20.80 donation from the Costco Workplace Giving Campaign to help fund student activities at Oak Hill Elementary School. $554 donation from Three Creeks Elementary School PTO to help fund the 4th grade study trip. $306 donation from Three Creeks Elementary School PTO to fund the Field Day Bounce House. $1,575.85 anonymous donation for Feed Them Forward Fund. Wow. $11.60 donation from Sandy Favors for the Feed Them Forward Fund. $2.96 donation, anonymous donation from Feed Them Forward Fund. Can I have a motion to approve all?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Excuse me, motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. All right, opportunity for public comment not related to agenda items. All right. Other information, enrollment count for the 2025-26 school year as of Wednesday, June 11th, 2025.
Yeah, so back in March, we were projected to be 40-plus students below what this past school year was, which would be a significant financial blow. As of today, we look like we are almost even from where we left off. And part of that was we took on, I believe, 8 more additional open enrollment kids that were approved yesterday.
Excellent. All right, number 2, the next meeting of the Tri-Creek Board of School Trustees is scheduled for Thursday, July 10th, 2025. There is a board work session closed Friday, July 18th, 2025 to train school board members with an outside consultant about the performance of the role of the members as public officials. Any questions or comments from the board?
I just want to,
Go ahead.
I just want to again congratulate Ann. Congratulations to Mr. Gover. Thank you, Officer Corning, for being here tonight and for what you do for our school safety. And welcome to Tri-Creek Schools.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard, all of you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, meeting adjourned.